There are no perfect movies, in my opinion, but there can be a perfect book adaptation. And the perfect book adaptation, in my opinion, one of them, in my opinion, is a movie called Fantastic Mr. Fox. Today I'll share why I think Fantastic Mr. Fox is such a perfect adaptation to the book. Let's start out with something that the movie does really, really well. It's not the best thing about the movie, in my opinion, but it's still something the movie does very, very well, and that is the characters, their relationships, interactions, basically. The characters in this movie are very, very realistic, and they all get along at the end of the movie. They all have their bumps during the movie, of course, because the movie can't happen without some characters not getting along, and a lot of the characters are so realistic. They all provide their different personalities. They're all so much fun constantly. Like every action that Mr. Fox takes throughout the movie is so realistic for a man that is in the middle of a midlife crisis, but instead of doing something like everyone else does, like buying a boat or a jet ski or something, he commits crimes. And then, in my opinion, it's more realistic when he gets the people he cares for roped into it. And the actions of all the other characters are realistic, and once again advance the plot in a lot of really, really good ways. Like the relationship between Ash and Christopherson moves the plot along really, really well, and it's also very, very realistic to real life people around us, with a feud between family members and one of them feeling like they don't get as much attention, or that they don't get the love that they want, but the other person that they are currently jealous of is. While the villains' motivations are good, and they seem menacing enough, but they're still funny enough and entertaining enough that they're still so much fun to see on the screen. Now, let's move on to the action, drama, and comedy. A lot of the things that this movie does the best, in my opinion. The comedy is spot on. It has a lot of funny moments in the movie, usually by the characters' chemistry and stuff, and how they react to each other's actions and stuff, and how they react to each other's personalities. And like some of the smart parts of personality always have to do with the comedy. And also, all the comedy is natural. And how they get so much adult comedy in a animated stop motion film aimed at kids usually is amazing, in my opinion. And the drama is really, really good too. As I said, a lot of the movie is driven by the characters' actions and stuff, and the characters' relationships. And this is what causes the drama too, a lot, obviously. Them not being able to get along and trying to strengthen their relationships again, and just trying to make each other happy, but still find a way to have the relationships be strong. The action is decent. The action sequences are fun to watch, for sure. Like, it's not like or Alita Battle Angel or anything, like where the action is like the major part of the movie or anything, but it's still really, really fun action to see, with a lot of funny gags during the action sequences, and can drive a lot of dramatic tension. Now, let's start on another really, really good part about the movie, and that is the plot and how Wes Anderson adapts this movie. Okay, so the plot of the book is pretty simple. A fox steals stuff from farmers, and then the farmers get mad and try to kill him. In this one, it follows the plot, but it does everything it can to expand the story. And it expands the story in amazing ways. Like, you can still follow the plot, but it just adds smaller things in. Like, not just stupid side plots in. And, like, they all have something to do with the bigger plot at the end of it. In my opinion, this is the perfect way to adapt a book into a movie, because it doesn't goof up the source material. It takes a movie that could have been, like, 45 minutes long, and it turns it into an hour and a half long film, into a movie that's basically perfect, just because Wes Anderson was creative because Wes Anderson was the way he is and was creative with the movie, and just found ways to expand the story and also not like mock the story and not make people all stuck up, right? This didn't happen in the book and stuff like that. And it's just like there's no stupid side plots is the best part. Like, it all has to do with the overarching plot and not without it's just such a good movie. One complaint I have to give is that the plot of the movie isn't as strong, but once again, this is just them being realistic with the book. This is why this isn't a perfect movie, but a perfect book adaptation. But still, I highly suggest this movie if you're a fan of animation. And speaking of animation, I'll be getting into that next. Now let me move on to another really good part of this movie, and that is the animation. This was the first stop-motion film made by Wes Anderson. His two other ones were Isle of Dogs. They were both really good. I feel like this one's a little bit better in my opinion, but basically this kickstarted him becoming an animation director, and this is the perfect way for him to do that. The animation is stop-motion, constantly beautiful. And the way they filmed this movie is really good. Like, apparently they filmed a lot of scenes outside. And, like, whenever there was something happening, like, whenever there was, like, a plane flying by or there was a boat driving by, what they did was add it into the movie itself to make the movie better and seem more realistic to real life. Because they had a good scene right there. And then animation is stop motion. It's a beautiful stop motion movie, tons of detail on like the smaller things in the background that some people might not notice if they don't pay that much attention. So the animation is really good, possibly the best animation that you can get. As you can see, Fantastic Mr. Fox is basically the perfect book to movie adaptation, and dare I say, fantastic. I highly suggest it to fans of stop motion animation or animation itself, and anybody that just wants a good movie to watch with kids, I guess. Well, with more mature kids, I guess, because it does have a lot of mature themes in it and stuff. So yeah, I highly suggest it. If you just want a good stop motion animation film, suggest Fantastic Mr. Fox.